Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I'm sharing 5 DIY updates. These are DIYs that I did in the past, and I'm going to share with you how they look now 1 or 2 years later. And if you like these kind of videos, I invite you to subscribe and tap the bell icon so that you are notified whenever I upload a video. And right now that's every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So for the makeover DIY updates, I'll first include a clip of what the makeover process was to get it to look the way it does. And then right after each one, I will show how it looks now. I get questions about how certain pieces feel or look after some time has passed. So I hope you find this video informative. And if you like this video, I hope you can give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And lastly, if you have any questions about anything that I've made or anything regarding any of the pieces that you see, please leave your questions in the comments section and I will get back to you. This is the dresser that I'll be restoring using Rust-Oleum's Furniture Transformations furniture coating system. And the color is called Modern Gray. There it is. Completed new dresser with the new handles. Okay, here is the dresser that I did a little DIY of using some Rust-Oleum furniture refinishing system, and this was black and now it is gray, and this is how it's held up. The worst damage that this has gone through in the past year and a few months is the handle, particularly this one here. It looks like the other handles have held up, and here it is on the top of it. Of course, it's under a piece of glass here, but everything is nice. It hasn't chipped or anything. This is another piece of wood that I had to add in one of the drawers. I think I explained it in the original video. The drawer that was here originally got messed up, so we makeshifted a little shelf in there. But that's the only thing that has a little bit of scraping because some of the screws kind of try to come out. But the furniture, the piece itself has held up very well. Is the whole front of it, and it just sits in this little corner, so the other side is not really an issue. This side here is looking okay. And that is it. This is a couch that I'm painting over. I picked this up at Habitat for Humanity. And it's going to be the settee that goes with my dining room table. So I have to mix paints to make it match. I sat the feet on these beams because the couch is a little short for a dining room table. I'm going to paint all of that white on the bottom. And then the couch is going to be gray. I let my kids kind of destroy it for the past few months, but now it's gonna be gray and it's gonna match our chairs. So I added a little bit of water to this because you're supposed to wet down the fabric before you paint it, but I figured if I just add the water to the paint, that would do the job the same way, and it did save an extra step. So I'm just adding the paint on now. This paint is like dyeing the fabric. Literally, it doesn't come off on any of your clothing. It functions as if the couch was made this way. and because my two little ones sit here for the most part to eat. So this can easily be taken off and washed. The cover for the cushion can also be washed, but instead of worrying about changing the color of that, I did do this. If you wanted to do a project like this, you could definitely get a fabric to match your paint color, and then you can make a covering for this that will fit it perfectly. But I find that the fitted sheet works just fine. And there it is with the sheet. And there are the beams painted white. And because this is used with the dining room table as a settee, it's nice that these beams of wood are here because the couch actually slides very easily on those. And now we have the couch. This is how it's looking. This couch is always used as like a settee. It's a small couch some people sit on to eat at the dining room table. So this part here is always under the table. But this was previously painted with chalk paint. And I'm just going to show some of the areas that have worn out a little bit, just from sometimes people, my kids mainly, will sit on the arms of the couch every so often, and that has worn down just a little bit there. Otherwise, the paint is pretty much still holding up. This is just a sheet that covers the seat part, and I just take that off and wash it repeatedly. And then here is the back of the couch. Still looks pretty good. This is a worn out little spot. And then also over here is another spot that has worn through to the original fabric. And also here on this side as well, that has worn down. But other than that, everything is in pretty good condition. The feeling of the fabric, this is, if that gives you any indication, this was already made with like that smooth kind of fabric, as you can probably already tell. It wasn't really like a fabric-y type of couch. If you go back to the original video, you can see how it looked. So it already had that feel to it. The paint just gave it another layer. So I don't believe that the paint has changed the way the fabric feels at all. And this is it. So it's holding up very nicely. To do a Christmas tablescape, so I'm transforming this table at the same time. I figured I'd share that transformation in this video so we can see the full outcome once everything is all put together. So if you're interested in how everything will look in the end, please keep watching. This is our dining room table. I moved it out here so I could sand it down, and I know it's very nice. It's been this color for a few years now, but I want to lighten it. So I'm going to sand this whole table down. And then I'm going to paint the bottom of it white. This part here, and then the legs are going to be white. This is a spot where I sanded a little too hard, and this is a scratch. And here is the dining table 2 years later, still looking good, and it has this centerpiece that I recently DIY. If you want to see how I did this, I'll link that video in the description box. And this is the table here. I stained it down, and well, I'm pretty sure you saw the clip from earlier of how this table got updated. But it did get a nice little makeover. So here it is. Not much has changed, and it's holding up really nicely. And I do have to say, this is covering up that little spot though, so I did go a little too hard with the sandpaper on that little section, but these are leaves, these come out, so these are not always in. And then also if I have something, I usually try to cover that up. Okay, so this is it. These are some chairs that I picked up at the Habitat for Humanity store. 6 chairs, 6 armchairs that will be getting reupholstered, and I'm gonna repaint the wood or restain it, one or the other, and again reupholstered as well. And these will be in our dining room. I did this over the course of a few months. And then I used a whitewash stain for the first layer because I wanted it to really soak into the wood, and then I covered that with a white chalk paint, and then I did a final seal of polyurethane, about 2 or 3 coats of that. And since these were office chairs, they were a little low, so I'm just spraying this bottom piece, and I'm taking this big piece of cushion and I'm adding that to give it a little bit of height and some thickness. This cushion came from an old couch that I took apart and reused some of the stuff inside, and I did have enough of this cushion for all 6 chairs, which was perfect, and definitely not part of my original plan, but it worked out perfectly. And then I cut off the excess fabric, and some of the places I did have to use a little bit of glue just to close it up, especially on these little arm pieces. The last piece is the seat part. I just slid that into place and made sure it was firmly in. This is the final result of the 6 chairs all done. So some of these have already been used for a while, and then I just finished up that last one not too long ago. But I've tried to clean them up, and I plan to Scotch guard them, but I never did, so I'm just hoping that they stay looking pretty good, and they've held up nicely so far. And here are the dining room chairs that I updated. It's been a year for these. These are all 6 of them, and they are used regularly. I haven't cleaned them in a while, so the fabric is just the way it is. I haven't done anything special to them for this video. I just want to show you just a normal use of the chairs and the wear and tear on them. And let's see if I can get a little closer. You can see there's a little bit of scratching on there just from pushing it in under the table. Just a little bit of distressing. So here we go from this angle here. They've been holding up pretty good, as you can see. So just quickly going down the line, about a little bit here. And here's the back of the chairs. I figured I'd show that too. This doesn't look too bad either. Not much has happened to affect the backs. And these are used daily. And again, this is like a year later, almost 2 years. So in May, it'll be 2 years. I'm going to be redoing these chairs here. I'm going to reupholster them and paint the wood. The chairs are going to be black and white in the front and on the seat cushion, and the outside part is going to be either black or all white. I haven't decided. And then the trim is going to be another color. All the wood part will be gold. All right, so here are these chairs. I get a lot of questions about these chairs, and I thank everyone who has watched the video of these chairs being reupholstered that I did 2 years ago, and this is how they're holding up. These chairs get very frequent use. There's toys always in these. Someone's always sitting in it. It doesn't get like use as far as like a couch would get, but we're always using these. Just wanted to give an update on how they look 2 years later, and they're still in really good shape. So some of the questions that I get are how the fabric feels. It has been painted, and if you can tell, it's somewhat rough here. I didn't go through the steps to smooth this out in the proper way because it is on the back. I didn't really care about that. So I know there are steps you can take as far as like sanding in between coats. I'm pretty sure I only did 1 coat of these, and I did not sand it down or anything. You're supposed to use like a nice soft sandpaper. The other question I get is what grit of sandpaper did I use, and I'm pretty sure that it was 60 grit, and I used a mouse sander, which is the small sander. I'll link it below. I also used a staple gun with a compressor, and I will link it below. And I also use Loctite general purpose adhesive spray. And these are the cushions that were the result of using that spray. And so far, they're still in good shape. Nothing has come apart. This is the underside. I have never flipped these over, so this is how they've been looking after 2 years. They are a little bit dirty on the edges, especially on the white part, but I haven't washed them. This is exactly how they've been. Even up here has maintained. I didn't spray any Scotch Guard or anything on these, but if I did want to flip these over, they can be easily flipped. So this is that one, and this is this one. A little bit better lighting on this one. So this is how they would look if I were to flip them over. So at this point, it would pretty much look brand new, but then the lines wouldn't line up perfectly. And then most I would do is just clean the fabric, which I'm sure I'll do one day soon. And then what else do I get? The fabric came from Amazon. I will link it below. Someone also asked me how much fabric I purchased, and when I looked at my order, it says 5. So I'm pretty sure that maybe 5 yards, possibly, maybe 2.5 yards per chair, or a little bit less. Someone asked me about the hot glue. So these, the strips or the trimming, this was hot glued back on after pulling it off, and I have not touched it up in any way. It's actually just like this. Nothing has come off, and the spray adhesive parts are still intact, as I mentioned. So everything that I use the spray adhesive for and the hot glue is exactly as it was the day that I put it together. Someone else asked me about chalk paint versus upholstery paint. I'm not really sure which is better. I went with chalk paint just because it was easy for me to get. And oh yeah, and how much paint did I use? So for the black part here, I used just an 8-ounce bottle of the Martha Stewart chalk paint that I linked to in the original video, and that original video is linked below in case you want to see the entire process. And all I did was mix it with water, so it lasted for both chairs. And this is them. The full video of all of these DIYs will be linked below in case you want to see the entire process. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.